two niggas spoiling movies. Yeah. Brandon Collins, that's me, and Justin Brown for your movie needs. Medium popcorn. Woo! You haven't seen it, well, we're gonna spoil it. Spoil it in your face. That's your warning. So if you get pissed, it's all your fault. Woo-hoo. Woo-hoo. Slap it up and put it down. It's your boy Eddie Collins.
Guys, this is Justin Brown.
And we in Medium Popcorn niggas spoiling movies.
Oh, we are.
And we're spoiling the latest entree,
Okay.
however you want to describe it, of the MCU newest phase. What are we in, phase 5 now? What is this?
I don't know, nigga. I don't know anything about phases. All I know is this deliciousness that we see in.
We're just gonna jump into it. The Marvels, starring Brie Larson. I gotta get this young woman's name who plays.
Yeah, I didn't want to fuck it up. I'll leave it.
Iman Vellani, who plays Kamala Khan, and lordy, Teyonah Parris, who is. I don't understand how this woman is not like on every magazine cover. Who's not in every like. She is so fucking fine, bro.
She is
with the big hair,
but I'm gonna tell you why she's not on everybody's. She's not everywhere. Because she is a gorgeous black woman, but she's a gorgeous black woman with that nigga nose. She got the nigga nose, she got a black nose. She doesn't have the white features, which are typically the thing that you see that goes fucking the world goes apeshit for. So she is a black woman. She's dark skinned. Thank you very much, Aaron, in the chat. She's dark skinned. She's fucking beautiful. She's she's all the things that we love. That's not mainstream. Yeah. It's not mainstream. Yeah, people say it's mainstream, but it's not mainstream.
I envied, spoiler alert, everybody, we're going to be probably jumping all over the place. But when that post-credit scene, when she was in that alternate universe and she was in a hospital bed, I was like, man, I envy the male nurse that got to take off that suit from her. Because
first of all, Brandon, I'm pretty sure in any universe, a male nurse isn't going to be peeling the.
Somebody got to take that suit off of her, right?
Yeah, but why do you think it's going to be a male nurse?
Because if I'm on duty and I happen to be a male and I got to do the shit, I'm gonna do it.
Brandon,
that's the job.
Brandon, they have another woman sitting right next to her. A woman comes.
Well, she's in the costume too. She ain't taking off nothing. She in her own thing. Yeah, also, do superheroes ever take a shit?
Of course,
because they're in these. Do they? Because they're in these skin tight outfits, and not just the women. Captain America had that fucking leather suit on and shit. We talked about Daredevil before. Do these niggas? Does anybody have a strap where they can just pop off the booty hole so they can poop? What is going on,
Brandon? I think there's something we really need to talk about. We watched Tony Stark die on screen. He probably shit in that suit when he died. All that electronics and covered in shit, human excrement all over the place. He's just like, I'm inevitable. So it's what's about to happen.
Well, also, like, to be fair too, like, even like when you're like, you experience some crazy shit when you're a superhero, like when you're like in near death several times. I'm pretty sure. And also, like, let's say like Peter Parker, right? Miles Morales, they probably get a bad, like, burrito or hot dog at one point. They probably just like, I gotta get to the bathroom to swim, and they're them shitting all over like the Brooklyn Bridge or something. Like, I'm sorry, New York.
Well, I mean, for them it's a little different.
That's actually hilarious.
Because they can actually shit somewhere that's high and out of sight. They can get places.
You can't shit anywhere high because it's gonna fall down somewhere.
No, nigga, I ain't talking about they flying through the air and just ass out just taking shits. I'm talking about like they can go to the top of a skyscraper and let loose and shit in the fucking bag. Shit in the bag, a web bag, and shit in a web bag and throw that shit out later.
Dude, that's actually one of the funny. Like, imagine, because Spider-Man gets caught doing random shit sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he's like just putting on clothes and he's just like someone's just staring at him, and he has to shit so bad, just shit in a plastic bag on a fire escape, and a little kid's just like
in a web bag, Brandon, a web bag.
He don't have time to make a web bag.
Remember in the cartoon where he'd make those little bags of the webbing? Yeah, he makes one of those.
But do you really have time for that if you got the runs?
Nigga, He is shooting webs
I'm
on
just saying.
buildings,
I'm just
at the drop of a dime to save his life. He can whip up a little web bag to take a shit in it.
all right. I'm just saying.
But if that shit's watery, I don't know if the webbing is.
Well, yeah. If that shit's I mean, at that point, you may as well just go into the Hudson River, right? You may as well just swing in there.
Or if it's a nanotech suit, does the nano just go around the ass?
All right, we're getting off track, y'all. We got to talk about the marbles, which is such a unfortunately. Here's the thing with Phase 5. This is the 33rd film in the MCU, and this is shuffled around. The release dates have been kind of crazy because this is actually supposed to come out before Secret Invasion. Yeah. Which makes sense because the Nick Fury in this movie is completely different than the Nick Fury we got in Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
Like his whole vibe is just different. I will say this is the first time that they kind of let Samuel Jackson be fully Samuel Jackson. We got a little peek of it in Far Away from Home, but this is the first time his reactions were like, oh, that's Sam Jackson. Like, I laughed so hard. Like, this actually was really funny. This is probably the funniest MCU movie since Ragnarok to me. Yeah. There were some jokes there's some parts that really don't hit, but like when Kamala's falling in the sky, and then they're able to, like, Teyonah's able to save her, and then what did he say? Like when they fell, and he was like, "Oh, she good," like because he like had to convince Monica to finally like fucking use her powers to kind of fly, and he's like, "Oh, they good." Like it's just like such a.
He's like, "Girl, you better figure it out. Fly up there. You got to get this."
That's what I'm saying. Like Nick Fury is like the worst coach ever. He just happens to be a really good recruiter.
But I mean, he's a government man.
Yeah,
the government is packed full of motherfuckers who don't know what the fuck. I mean, the government is packed full of bad managers.
Yeah,
like bad like the worst manager you ever get. Like that's all government employees half the time. Well, no, the people in power positions because it's a politics game. It's a politics game.
He was like, use your black girl magic. I was like, oh, you can tell black woman directed this. Yeah. And that's the issue I have. So I want to make sure we're being fair as film critics to this movie, but I'm also not going to fucking entertain the toxic fandom that's happening where this black director, Nia DaCosta, who's broken records as a black female director several times, is getting shitted on because she happened to get, let's be honest, kind of a middling Marvel tale to direct.
Yeah.
She got handed a lead, Brie Larson, who I don't know what people were seeing her performance in this. I feel like there's parts where you could tell she did not want to be there. There's parts where you could tell she was having fun with the three women, but there was other parts where I'm like, she's checked out. Because she said publicly, like, I don't know if I want to keep playing Carol Danvers anymore. Like, I don't know if I want to do this because of the negative toxic fandom that she experienced from Captain Marvel and Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
But and it's being accused of being woke. And I'm like,
a part of
why is that?
All right. So part of it is the fact is that, I'm sorry, Nia DaCosta. She was handed a film that's starring, the main person is one of the most despised people in the MCU, actors, right? In Brie Larson, right? And then the co-stars are a black woman and an Indian woman. You know what I'm saying? Are two diverse people. So you got the person everybody, that fandom hates most, and then you have two diverse people, which is like Brie Larson, and then you have diversity right by. Actually, no. Actually, you have Brie Larson as the worst person, and then the worst aspect of the MCU that people hate, diversity. And you just melded them together. Of course, people are going to hate this movie. And imagine just like just like our ill-fated Ghostbusters film. There's probably a lot of people who didn't even see this movie who are hating on it and are writing things up about it, and they refuse to see it
based on the box office
numbers. Marvel.
Based on the box office numbers, there's no way that the amount of people that are hating on the movie saw the movie. And that's one of the reasons, going back real quick to Ghostbusters, and yes, the infamous Lady Ghostbuster, I don't even want to call it that, the infamous Ghostbusters reboot with Kirsten Wiig and Leslie Jones, that review is on the Patreon. You can listen to it. It sucks. It wasn't our best moment. I I refuse. I subconsciously have refused to watch Afterlife because of the way they treated that whole team. Like, I don't
Yeah.
agree with what they did. I thought I was expecting way more with the talented cast that they had and Paul
Mm.
Feig directing that. But I think it is so fucking rude for them to just be like, fuck whatever that was, and then just bring in the original cast to this new thing and tie that. It just felt disrespectful. But
Yeah.
to this movie, Iman Vellani, who plays Kamala Khan, she was the star of the Miss Marvel's TV show. I find her incredibly charming. I don't understand how Miss Marvel is the lowest rated MCU TV show. I think it's a lot of fun. The stakes aren't that crazy. So it's like, maybe that's the reason why people weren't fucking with it. But again, she's so charming. She kind of saves this movie. Like,
Yeah.
she's just so infectious in her positivity, and her family dynamic is so funny and charming and shit. And it's just really frustrating because I do think that Marvel fucked up in a lot of ways, but I think the biggest thing they fucked up with was the oversaturation of Disney Plus content, because it really started to feel like homework. And this felt like the first movie where people didn't want to do the homework, and so that's why they didn't show up for opening weekend.
Mm.
Because in order, like, and Tati was like kind of debating me on this, but I wholeheartedly believe if you have not seen Miss Marvel and if you have not seen WandaVision, you're not gonna know what the fuck is going on. If you just saw if you just saw the MCU movies and just saw Captain Marvel and went to the Marvels, you would be lost.
Yeah.
There's no way you'd be able to keep up really with what's going on, especially with Kamala Khan, who essentially is the second lead. I think even over Teyonah Parris' character, Monica.
Yeah, I would say so too.
Like, there's times when I felt like it was a Miss Marvel movie because it
Listen,
really was about her family and stuff too.
so I feel like Teyonah Parris, she hasn't been, she wasn't given a lot to do in this film. She was the magical Negro. She was given all the exposition.
Yes, there was a lot of exposition she had to give. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, for one, as an actor, I would hate to be that person because that's a lot of big words you got to throw out there. That's a whole bunch of big words you got to get through. So like I felt like she wasn't given enough to do, which, if you're, spoiler alert, guys, if you're looking at how the movie ended and everything, I was surprised because I felt like they didn't build that character enough to give.
She's got a big role to play apparently in the multiverse shit now.
Yeah. But if that's the case, maybe they were just like, all right, don't worry, we're not going to give her that much in this film because she's got bigger things coming.
But
yeah.
But to that point, Justin, I think this might be more of like an overview of the current state of the MCU versus a full review on the Marvels, because the thing that concerns me about that is with the whole Jonathan Majors controversy and the recent critical and commercial responses to all the MCU projects, right?
Mm-hmm.
What the one notable thing we've talked about the past phase or two has been the increase in diversity, which we've appreciated. Yep. With Shang-Chi, with you making, elevating Shuri to be the new Black Panther, with you got Oscar Isaac and Moon Knight, you got Miss Marvel, you have Ironheart supposedly coming out soon. Yeah, all these things, right? Blade, which is a fucking mess from what we've heard. Yeah. But here's the thing, though: if they're course corrected, if they're realizing that that's not working, that's not connecting with Middle America, whoever the fuck, then what happens to all those diverse people? Because Shang-Chi 2, when the fuck is that coming out?
Yeah, that was a hit.
That was a hit. You know what I mean? Like, that guy can't stay fit forever. You know what I mean? It's like, but then they're really putting all their eggs in the basket of Deadpool 3, which is starring Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, 2 white guys. And then what's the thing that's constantly popping up with the news now? They want to bring Robert Downey Jr. back. They want to bring Scarlett Johansson back. They want to bring Chris Evans back. So it's like you're going back to the old well. Those people aren't getting younger. So then it's just going to be like, even if you brought like a multiversal element in, they played different iterations of their characters, you're still taking away from all these young people. And even for a white actor standpoint, Tati complains about this all the time with Tom Holland. She's like, they've yet to give that talented actor his own time in that role. He's always in a movie with another character, like kind of co-headlining. And then Spider-Man 3, as great as it was to see Tobey and Andrew back, he still didn't get his own movie to shine. Yeah. And now they're saying Spider-Man 4 is going to come out whenever the fuck. And it's like, well, what do we do? Like, you know what I mean? It's just really frustrating to see like all this happen when quote unquote superhero fatigue is happening, because You know, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 did fairly well.
Yeah.
The Batman did really well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's very inconsistent. I think it's just all about really allowing directors and storytellers to be like creative. I think Nia DaCosta got handed an assignment. It's like, here's the assignment. These are the beats to hit. That's why the post production, you know, people were giving her shit about how she was working on another project. People do that all the time.
Yeah.
Because these movies are so generic now. It's like a fucking factory. Ryan Coogler and James Gunn, I think, are the last MCU directors that were really able to kind of do their own thing. And even Ryan Coogler, what was their biggest complaint about Black Panther 2? Is that it felt like it was setting up other shit in the MCU, whereas the first Black Panther did not feel like that.
Yeah.
So even he's getting sucked into the machine. And what was the cool thing about Captain America Winter Soldier? That felt like a political thriller masked as a comic book movie. Yeah. What's, you know what I mean? Like there was a period where all these movies felt individualized and really cool. Yes, there were some sequels that felt very generic, like Iron Man 3 or Thor 2, blah, blah, blah. But then there was times where the directors and creative team really got to shine and do their own thing. And they've gotten so far away from that. And I don't know how they course correct that. Obviously, they fired the writer of King Dynasty. The director just stepped down, even though he's apparently still doing Wonder Man and Shang-Chi too. So it's like maybe they really are diverting away from King too. King is the main villain.
Yeah.
I haven't watched Loki season 2. Apparently that kind of gives him out from King. Have you watched it?
Yeah.
Okay. Does the series finale, because I heard it's a series finale, did that set up them to be able to get away from King?
Not necessarily.
Aaron Hicks in the chat saying yes and no.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Okay.
You know, it's, you know, like
I haven't seen it yet, so like it's like I'm kind of like, you could spoil it maybe, but it's
no, I don't. I could see how somebody would say that, but you know, I would still say no. Yeah, for me, I would still say no. And it's like, you know, and I know, like in the chat, you know, no spoilers. But it's not very. There's nothing that's clear cut. It was like, okay, Kang is at bay.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think for me, this is the first movie where I'm like, I can see why people are kind of like checking out at this point. Because it did feel like you need to know a lot of different things, not just from the movies, but from the TV shows to kind of get what's going on. And it is homework. It like at this point, it's not exciting anymore because you see and I think the marketing for this movie is very uninspired. And I think, again, you have a generic, that's also the problem with having this movie. If the movie had just been about them figuring out that fucking dynamic and them switching the powers and shit, and they just have like, they're trying to fight crime in their own separate ways and they keep flipping, I think that's a way more interesting story to focus on than the fucking villain from the Kree. And like, you know, when the first Captain Marvel, which took place in the 90s, is supreme intelligence and like destroyed like their community and they don't have sun and resources. The villain was very generic, very by the book, and also didn't make any sense because Endgame, we just saw Captain Marvel fucking go toe to toe with Thanos when he had pretty much all the Infinity Rings, and he headbutted her and nothing happened. That's how powerful she is. So there's never going to be a villain that's up to that level.
Yeah.
And so for her to then fight that person and also need 2 other people didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fight scene was cool. The fight choreography of this actually was really cool, especially the con house. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, this villain doesn't make any sense because unless they're Thanos-esque level of a threat, maybe you should introduce Kang into this movie. Maybe that's where King should have came into play.
Sure. Well, I mean, it will, and that's the thing. You can't say that Kang is out of out of this because literally, again, spoiler alert, guys. Teyonah Parris' character is trapped in another fucking
multi
like
universe.
Timeline.
Yeah.
Timeline. She's in a whole different timeline right now.
Yeah, because of the way that she had to close up the botched hole in the universe that the main villain
so basically technically the villain was causing an incursion.
Yeah.
She was causing an incursion, probably unknowingly, but she was causing an incursion, and then she had to close that shit up, but she had to close it up from the other side. So it's like, Good.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Dara Ben, who's the main antagonist in this movie, played by Zawi Ashton. Beautiful actress, completely miscast in this movie.
Yep.
You could have gone a black actress that had way more swagger than what she was bringing. I was like, immediately, I'm like, this could have been a dope moment to get like a Taraji P. Henson in the MCU as a villain. This could have been the Black Helena.
Yeah.
Not saying like you do the same kind of beats that character had, but I remember when Kate Blanchett was in Ragnarok, and Tati and I looked at her like, "Yo, she's fucking rocking this shit as a villain."
Yep, she looked hot as shit.
She did look really hot when she did the horn thing.
As fuck, man.
I remember being like,
I was like, "Yo,
I want to fuck Kate Blanchett.
Kill me, take me. I want to. Let's get the Ragnarok, baby."
Speaking of Ragnarok, Tessa Thompson's cameo in this was so kind of awkward.
Yeah.
I get it. She was helping the Skrulls get out, but she's technically taking them back to Earth, isn't she?
Yes.
Because New Asgard's on Earth, but just like Tessa Thompson, like popping up, and then her and Carol were kind of giving like, "Are we fucking" vibes, and I was kind of like, I'm kind of into that, but at the same time, this scene just feels really awkward.
Yeah.
But that was cool because Nia DaCosta was her first film. Tessa Thompson was a star in it. Little Woods, I believe it's called.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I saw it in Toronto, not Toronto, but Tribeca years ago when it debuted.
What's the film?
It's called Little Woods, I believe.
Yeah, what was it about?
Let me make sure I'm getting this right. I don't want to fuck this up, but I believe it's about what's her name who played Pamela Anderson in the movie the show on Hulu. It's about her needing an abortion. Yeah, that's the movie. Okay, so yeah, she needs an abortion, and they need to go to Canada to get her the medication.
Oh, okay, so we saw that. Yeah, because I was like, okay, I didn't know that was.
Yeah, that was Nia DaCosta's film debut.
Gotcha.
Feature film debut as a writer and director. So
yeah, that was a good movie too.
Yeah, so that was a nice like reunion, but at the same time, I was like, this is mad awkward. And
I have to, and not to jump on the bandwagon of like, we all hate Brie Larson, but she really did. She didn't bring it this film. Like I felt like it almost felt like there were scenes where she really didn't want to be here.
That's what I said. Yeah, that's how I felt. Like and that's for me. I'm like, what is that because she's just like is over superhero movies? Is that because of the toxic fandom? Because I get it. Like I think that's why. Like I was very surprised when I heard whispers that John Boyega is entertaining the idea of going back to Star Wars because that shit sucked. Like the fact that like Disney was pretty much silent as you're getting trolled constantly by like these toxic fans and shit.
Yeah.
And she got so much shit. And she just seems like someone that doesn't like I think it's very much a boys club in the MCU, especially the old guard.
No, hold on.
What?
It's not just MCU. It's just
no. I meant, but like
Hollywood.
her. But I meant her like being in the MCU. I remember like 100%. She started getting hate because she was doing like press conferences with Hemsworth and like Mark Ruffalo and Evan, like and Renner and stuff like that. And they're making like the little jokes and stuff. And she just was not really fucking with it. And now everyone's gonna get along in the MCU, but she got so much vitriol because of that shit.
Yeah.
And it's
I mean, and like as Aaron Hicks said in the chat, whatever she said about white men, they've been killing her ever since. Yeah. And that's true because like she is a person, she speaks her mind, and more power to her. But like
she's very much about
don't
that.
Forget. People did not forget. And they've been coming for her neck ever since that shit.
Yeah, but she really doesn't fuck with that. If you think about, she won the Oscar for Room, Best Actress for Room. The following year, Casey Affleck won. And she was her face, bro, when he's walking up the stage to get that from her, she was like, this ain't it. It was like when Eminem won the VMA and Christina Aguilera was presenting. Yeah. It felt like it was like that moment. But yeah, I mean, and I get it. Like, this isn't for everybody. But that's the problem now. I think, too much of a good thing. Like, I think we're like at that point in the audiences where our stomach is full from all the junk food we've been eating with the superhero movies and shit. And I think after Endgame, I think the audience really would have been understanding if they're like, hey, everybody, that was like that was a once in a lifetime thing we were able to pull off with continuity and threading the needle of all these stories. Now we're just going to do these one-off things that may be connected, but probably won't be. Like, follow the lead of like what they're doing in DC with Joker and the Batman and shit. I actually think that's a really smart direction that they're doing. They're like, those are elsewhere stories now. Like James Gunn came out, it's like, that's other shit. It's not connected to the shit we're doing. Allow people to do that, because then it allows for the film creators and the actors to be able to do their own thing without being beholden to other shit. They were filming this at the same time as Thor: Love and Thunder and Ant-Man 3, but none of them knew what the other team was doing. Like, there's no communication between these creative teams.
So basically, when it really comes down to it, you have to, the MCU or any of these creative, you have to let people build momentum for a character, for a series, and things like that. And when you're trying to shoehorn too many things into one, into basically into one timeline, very Loki,
Yep.
you're convoluting and you're adding too many streams into one thing, and eventually it's gonna combust. If you watch Loki, you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. Aaron, you here with me? But like, if you have to let these timelines kind of build up on their own. They have to be strong enough for them to then intertwine with the main timeline first. And I think the fact is, like, they're rushing too much shit in, and it's just not there yet. Like, honestly, I feel like Miss Marvel, they could have let her breathe outside a little bit for the time being, because she is kind of a street level a street level kind of fucking superhero outside of the time travel and time and space shit like that. But she could be street level for the time being, and just not using that part of her powers because it's unnecessary. And let us build that character to the point where then when you bring her in, it means something. Spider-Man is a street level guy, but the moment he got brought into the MCU the way that he did is like, because like, all right, we need some help. Let's go get this kid. I think he could be worthwhile. But Spider-Man was already that fucking dude. So therefore, you throw Spider-Man in, everybody's like, yo, I'm here for all of this. It's like, so like, they need to build these people up before they add them into the big soup.
Yeah, I mean, also that's the thing, is that Disney's Plus stuff diluted the quality and it diluted how people perceive these projects now. Because knowing that the Miss Marvel is the lowest rated MCU show, that means that this second lead that you have in this movie, people aren't going to be familiar with her, or at least know about her arc and like what she went through prior to this movie. So then when you see like her dealing with like, planets collapsing and all this shit, now you can't save everybody. So, which is a real thing that a teenage superhero would have to deal with.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, that hits a little harder because she is a teenager. If you went to this movie blind, you might be asking yourself, how old is she supposed to be?
Yeah.
But if you saw the show, you're like, she's a high school kid. Obviously, she draws the pictures. I love the animated ending at the beginning when she was like, but that was charming like the show was.
Yeah.
And so it's just, for me, I was happy for her that she got to be a co-lead in a huge, big budget movie like this. But it was also disappointing when you see online all these people shitting on the movie, calling it woke because they got a Muslim family and they got this black woman. And I'm just like, there's nothing to you. Woke means diversity.
Yeah, 100%. So,
and I just wish motherfuckers would start calling that out more instead of letting these people say woke and fucking bastardize the phrase that was used for black people to be able to identify with each other, the bullshit that's around.
So, the thing that I find hilarious is the fact is, like, Aaron put in the chat, he's like, Captain Marvel is not a likable character in the comics. And why is she not a likable character? Because she's a military person. She's a military person, which is heavily ingrained in the government. She's a government, she's like a government foot soldier. So is Teyonah Parris' character. I always
Monica Rambeau.
Yeah, Monica Rambeau. They're both like military people. They're part of the overall machine, right? Well, and not as much Captain Marvel at this point, but she was, right? So that's where her grounding comes from. And then you're adding a teenager into the mix, and then her trying to deal with these people who are heavily regimented, and like, this is what we do, this is the plan. Hence, that scene is like, we can't save everyone. We got to take the people that we can save. And this is like, hey, the collateral damage. And like, they should have weighed heavier on that scene, because that character, Ms. Marvel, should have had that coming as like, holy shit, is this like, we're superheroes, but we just let people fucking die, you know? But like, we missed out on that. But mind you, they all just got together. That's their first mission together, and she just saw a genocide happen, and it's just like, and she felt that she wasn't able to truly help. There's so many people, women, kids, and things like that just died right there. So it's like, how does that affect that character? How can she go on that ship and just be like, oh, it's Captain Marvel? It's like, you can't. You have to kind of, let that character breathe in that.
Yeah, it was also weird when Carol like snapped at her a little bit. It's like there was some weird stuff going on here tonally. And
no, but Carol would snap at her. She don't got time for that shit. Carol has been fucking flying around in space since the 90s and doing all this outwardly shit. She hasn't been dealing with teenagers.
True. Yeah, that's why she didn't talk to Monica when she went back to Earth. Well, she went back to Earth during the blip. That's when she saw Monica's mom, who was dying of cancer. Which again, that whole storyline doesn't make sense if you haven't seen WandaVision, where it literally, the series opens with her coming back from the snap at the hospital and find out her mom died years ago.
Yeah.
And she's been gone for 5 years. Like, that was that's what's so frustrating about the MCU. Like, you could have done a whole phase just about people fucking dealing with the ramifications of the snap.
Yeah. Like, I feel like, and it's funny because you're not the only person to say that. I've heard people say that. It's just like, why aren't we getting more information about the snap? It was like, and I think everybody was ready for that, because that's real world implications, and that's a universal event. You know what I'm saying? So what does that mean for everybody, not just these characters?
I still remember, like, I knew some stuff about Endgame, but I didn't know a lot about what was going to happen at 3 hours. And after that first opening, when they cut off Thanos' head, and then it faded to black, and it said 5 years later, bro, the audible gasps in the audience, we were like, what? Yeah. Because I'm like, there's no way they're making that time back. So people have been gone for 5 years. And that's when I was like, that's when you talk about the blip. It's like, there had to be more discussions about the impact that had on all these characters and the people around them. Like, there's no way that when Peter Parker and Aunt May went back to their apartment, we didn't even really get clarification. Was Aunt May alive when Peter got blipped?
Nobody knows.
Exactly. Like, that's what's so frustrating about the way they handled some of this stuff. And Aaron in the chat said that was the original Black Panther 2 story, which that him dealing with the blip and learning about his son. Absolutely. That would have been really powerful. And I think Chadwick would have fucking killed that storyline. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. But I wish that Kevin Feige had adapted that for something else to explore that, because I think it's really important. And I think that's a way for us and it's not fair to superhero movies to be, but the genre is that big enough where you can explore some really complex shit. That would have been a powerful way for us as a society to discuss COVID on a deeper level.
Brandon, I was literally about to say the same thing.
Yeah,
and it would have been a perfect segue into like real world implications and COVID especially. And I'm glad you literally stole the words right out of my mouth with that. And like, that was such a missed opportunity. Yeah. And as Aaron said, it's like, yes, that was supposed to be for Black Panther 2, and they should have just adapted that for somebody else. I think they kind of went into it with Hawkeye, but not really.
Not really. I mean,
it didn't go hard enough with it. But like that, like that was absolute. That would no, because
Hawkeye, they also brushed over the fact that this nigga during the 5 years, he was so fucked up. He was just killing people.
Yeah, he was just like, oh, you a bad guy? I'm just gonna murder you. I'm just gonna assassinate you.
If Hawkeye were real,
should have been the Hawkeye series.
If Hawkeye were real as fuck, which it should have been, like, I get, like, because it gave us Haley Seinfeld, whatever her name is, who one is a little bit of a cutie, but also like I think she's going to have a fun role in the MCU going forward, especially with the tag that we had at the end of this movie. But Hawkeye, for real, shouldn't have been about Florence Pugh trying to get at him because of what happened with Black Widow. It should have been motherfuckers from his past during that blip time coming to get him to make him pay for all the shit he did to criminals.
Yeah.
Like that. And that would have been some heavy shit. And he should have died at the end of that series because it's kind of it feels kind of like Fast and Furious shit where it's like because he's part of the family, we can kind of forgive all the lives he took and shit. Like that's why I don't fuck with the Jason Statham thing because I'm like this nigga still killed mad people.
Yeah,
like he's not a good person. Like you can't just bring Sean to the family and like let audiences be like, oh, we're good.
Yeah.
You know what? It got so bad. Fans were just so much like, this is bullshit. They're like, by the way, Han's still alive.
Yeah, right.
Get the fuck out of here. We saw the nigga blow up. Like, what are you talking about?
Guys, it didn't really happen. Sleight of hand. No, but you know, honestly, it's they have some misses because they could have really done some next level shit and explored some stuff that really would have just resonated with people on a deeper level where you would have had people who don't fuck with Marvel before that who just watch Endgame or you know, but once you add in the fact of like and something that which is kind of you know kind of running concurrent with COVID and stuff like that, that would have hit people on so many fucking levels, which would have been like, yo, I fuck with this because they're bringing real world stuff into this. Yeah. It's like they could have brought in the blip and then fucking COVID in the Marvel. It's like it could have happened at the same time. Yeah. No, a global pandemic. Why not? Because half the people on Earth are now gone. And then this other thing happens at the same time because the people that were supposed to be there to stop these kinds of things, something happened where this thing got unleashed. This is like it wrote itself.
Well, that's the thing though. Like Hollywood's trying to stay away from the pandemic. Like I got told that several times at Universal. Like no one fucks with the pandemic. No one wants to do anything about the pandemic. That's why Judd Apatow's Netflix movie bombed so bad. Like no one cares. And I'm like,
what Judd?
That's the thing. I don't even remember what it's called, but it's like I think David Duchovny's in it. It's like apparently it was really bad, but yeah, Judd Apatow had a fucking COVID movie. In the chat, Aaron Hicks asked, remember folks, you sign up for Patreon at patreon.com/mediapopcorn. You get to join us live when we do these reviews. Asked if Jonathan Majors gets recast, who do y'all think should replace him? So I think you just replace the whole King character, and I think you do the dude who played a high evolutionary. I think he was a very well received villain. Justice shaking his head. You think Dr. Doom or something?
I think they're gonna go Dr. Doom.
That makes sense, but that's such a good villain that you need to build that up. It can't just be like we're just popping them in and that's gonna be a whole thing.
But Brandon, you have to think about the fact that it's like they're in damage control right now.
True. And they need to get the goods real fast.
Because they're in damage control, they're gonna go to a property that they feel is gonna be an easy just tie in. It's like, all right, this is gonna be easy. We're gonna make some money off it. People have been talking about Dr. Doom and been waiting for him. Let's just do Dr. Doom and give the people what they want. That's why all of a sudden the casting for Fantastic Four just came out. That's all of these.
Well, it's just one, and that's not even 100% confirmed either, because apparently they've been having trouble landing the actor for Reed Richards. It's gone out to Adam Driver, Jake Gyllenhaal, a bunch of people, because I guess what's her name? Sue Storm is actually the lead in Fantastic Four, not Reed Richards. But I'm sure Reed Richards will have a bigger place, in the MCU in the future. I think it's interesting to go after Sue as the main focus. I think it's a different way to do it. But to your point, though, about the air and damage control, I'm worried because I think not only does the MCU and Kevin Feige and his whole creative team, not only are they dealing with like quote unquote superhero fatigue and toxic fandom, but they're also dealing with imposter syndrome. And the reason why I say that is because there's this new book that I just got in the mail actually today that talks about the history of the MCU and the Kevin Feige's strategy, like an approach to creating these movies. They were genuinely shook by the fact that people did not fuck with Quantumania. They thought that they had a hit on their hands. They thought that people were going to love it like they loved everything else. They were like legit fucked up because people did not like it. So I think they're like almost like we don't know what people may like anymore. And if that's the case, if they fuck up Fantastic Four and or X-Men, it's over. They have to stop for a while. At least that's my thought. Like if they fuck up those properties that we've been waiting so long for them to get their hands on, it's over. Like they've have to do a hard reboot.
Honestly, I think there's a big push for Fantastic Four. I think that the stink of the previous Fantastic Four movies
is so bad.
I think that they still need to hold off on those characters for a while. I think that if they want to bring if they want to do something to get the people back, it is the X-Men. Like that, but it's like and like you said, it has to be done right. Fantastic Four, there have been what? How many movies were there?
There's three. They did three movies. Two. They did in the commercial sense. There's the ones with Jessica Alba, the two with Jessica Alba, and there's the one with the Miles Teller shitstorm. Yeah. But technically, there was that '90s movie that like didn't really.
No. We're talking about So those three movies, each one of them was a dumpster fire of their own right. Yeah. Right. So with that, and the last movie was like what 2012, right? 2011, 2010.
It was a good 10 years ago or so.
Yeah. Too soon. You need to let that shit fucking air out.
Well, the plus side is not that many people saw that one, so but a lot of people don't even know how bad it was.
Yes, but all it has to do is pop up on Netflix once. And
I get it.
So like I it's too recent. I think that if you go because X-Men, a lot of the X-Men movies weren't exactly amazing, but X-Men because the last big X-Men movie was Logan. So it at least walked out on a high note.
No, it wasn't. The last one was X-Men, the one with fucking Oscar Isaac. Apocalypse or whatever the fuck.
Was that it?
Mm-hmm.
That came out after.
No, it was even worse than that. The last one was fucking Dark Phoenix.
No, it wasn't that dark.
Yep, that's the last X-Men movie. Right. Bro, it's like that's the last one.
Wait, no, the Dark Phoenix that was X-Men 3, right?
Look it up. No, remember they did Dark Phoenix again. The same nigga got the chance to do the Dark Phoenix again.
Oh boy.
It went Logan, I think Apocalypse, because everyone was like, Apocalypse and the Dark Phoenix. And I believe Hugh Jackman had a cameo in one of those after Logan, and people were like, what?
Oh, yeah, right. You're right. It was the last Logan was 2017. All right, so X-Men Apocalypse was 2016, dumpster fire. Okay. Logan came out 2017, fucking phenomenal. Dark Phoenix came out in 2019. I didn't watch that movie.
It's terrible. It's really bad.
Yeah,
there is one cool train scene, but even then, it's still not good.
Yeah, because I checked out after Dark Phoenix. I was just like, this was too bad for me because I remember that weird scene that they had where and then the next one after that was the New Mutants, and I hadn't even watched that one.
No, I didn't see that one either.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that was considered really. I didn't know what that was really.
Yeah. So, all right. With that being said, I honestly I think a lot of people don't give a fuck about Dark Phoenix. I'm just guys, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I still feel like people in their minds they think X-Men movies and they're thinking Logan, right? Mm-hmm. So I still look at it on a high note because Dark Phoenix, like it's that forgettable. I didn't even watch it, and as Aaron put in the chat, Dark Phoenix was trash. You know what I'm saying? But like I don't think that people really give a fuck about that. I think
why would they not give a fuck about that, but then give a fuck about the Fantastic Four one that saw even fewer people? You know what I mean? Like your logic isn't quite connecting because the Fantastic Four one, which had a lower box office than Dark Phoenix, and you're thinking that has a stink still, and Dark Phoenix came out sooner and had more of a box office.
Is Fantastic Four as large of a property as the X-Men?
No, that's why I don't think that Fantastic Four would have that kind of stench versus Dark Phoenix. I think your logic, I would flip it.
See, honestly, I think because of the fact is that it almost felt like with Fantastic Four, they were trying to make that happen, and it almost feel like they were trying to force it, and it wasn't working. I think, and that's why I feel like yo, you guys tried with 3 movies with this franchise, and you even rebooted after the second one, and that didn't even work. It's like, hold off, guys.
Yeah.
Hold off for a second.
They can't hold off anymore.
Yeah,
they can't hold
true.
off anymore. Like we've been waiting. They've acquired the rights like almost 8 something years ago. Like they can't
No, that's
keep
right with
holding
the
on.
studios
Yeah.
and when they have to make
And they pay billions of dollars for those properties. Like they can't keep holding off. But for me, I think that's the Marvels is unfortunately what's it bystander? What's called
collateral damage.
Collateral damage. Yeah, it's collateral damage because I think again, it's just an assignment that Nia DaCosta got. She was like, let me do the best I can. They tried to infuse some humor in it. You know, there were some times where I was like, this is a little bit too kiddie for me, given like some of the heaviness that they're trying to put on it, like with the cats and the suit, you know, like swallowing up the people to get them safely off the spaceship, and then the musical planet, things like that, where and the terrible singing voice they gave Brie Larson to lip sync over, that was awful. But
and she also seemed uncomfortable in that role.
Yes.
While she was doing that.
That's why Iman Vellani, she saves this movie because she is just so. I don't know if it's the way that she played a character or she just genuinely is like, I get to be in a fucking Marvel movie like this. She just seems so happy to be there and so into it. And like you said, Teyonah Parris, unfortunately, she got a lot of exposition to do, but you know, she looked good in that suit, and she looked like she knew that she looked good in that suit. So I was like, yes, queen, do your thing. You know, one day I hope to meet you. Oh shit. I didn't say, did I tell you I met, well, I didn't meet her, but I saw Zazie Beetz.
Yes, you told me.
Okay. Did I text you? Did I text you when it happened?
The last time we recorded, we talked about this.
Yeah.
But tell the streets about how creepy you are. Go on.
I wasn't creepy. I just, man alive. Folks, if you don't know, like I have Zazie Beetz on like all at my computer. I have her on my phone. Like I think she's one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen, like on TV and in person now. Man alive. She had the hair, she had the eyes, and Jesus Lord.
Yeah, she had hair and eyes, guys. Wow. Who would have thought? Go on.
No, just saying. But if I get a chance to meet Teyonah Parris, which, you know, given like the people I've had an opportunity to be in the same space as, it is definitely possible. Because last year I got to see Megan Good in her glory. So
you got to see her?
Yeah. She's at the AFCO Awards.
Oh, okay.
Like right there. I mean, I actually was closer to Angela Bassett than I was to Megan Good at one point, and Viola Davis, which is wild. Man, Jesus, black women are fucking.
Yeah, you couldn't put me around Regina Hall. I'd risk my marriage.
Regina Hall. Okay, yeah, I see that. That's it, dude. And she doesn't. I think I did an interview with her, and Sterling K. Brown for like a honk for Jesus. Or whatever that they did together, and she was talking about how she has low self-esteem and stuff, and I'm like, what is going on?
Like, bring you around me. I'll pump that self-esteem up. It's like, girl, you're gorgeous. Yeah.
I was like, I know 2 black men, including myself, that would willfully give up our mortgage payments to take you out on the best dinner you've ever had in your life.
I will take you to the finest cheesecake factory. I'll scour the earth for the best cheesecake factory of them all.
Oh my God. Yeah. Regina Hall, my Lord. This is the thing too. Black women have such different standards in Hollywood and in America, like in just commercial, in the commercial world. Because Regina Hall was one of the 3 hosts for the Oscars, and I forgot which actor she was filling up or whatever. And there was this whole uproar online about, oh, Regina was objectifying men. I'm like, do y'all not live in America? Do you know what we do to women? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like,
well, because at that point they were just like, now let's reverse sexism.
Well, I just wanted something to complain about too. People are always looking for something to complain about. And I think for me, that's why, like, for the Marvels, yes, there are some issues with it. And I think that it's in a very weird spot. I think that this will feel like homework to people to watch in order to get what they're doing with Deadpool 3, because that's the next one. And it's the only
That's the
movie
one
that's
that
coming,
everyone's looking for.
and that's the only one that's coming out in 2024, which I think is smart. Like, pull this shit back.
Yeah.
Like, stop releasing several of these movies a year, because Ant-Man 3 was the way we kicked off this year, and that was just god awful. So let's slow it down. Deadpool 3, I'm curious to see how that works, but that's also going to be the first R-rated MCU movie.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, so now you're kind of cutting off some of your key audience, which are teenagers, right?
They're still going to see it.
They're still going to see it, but technically they're not supposed to, be able to see it.
Yeah, but I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
Things have changed.
I'm just really curious to see what that does for the whole rules of this MCU, like the multiverse shit. Because one, I think people are really getting over multiverses because it's just using so many different stories now, and like shows and movies, things like that. And then also the tag at the end, I don't know about how it was received in your audience. We were all like kind of collectively shrugging, because you would think seeing the Beast played voice acted by Kelsey Grammer would be a big deal, but for me, I was just kind of like, I don't give a fuck anymore. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Where's this going, guys? Because the whole cloud around Jonathan Majors really is fucking it up.
Yeah.
Because you're like, can you really keep? Are you going to keep doing the thing with Kang? Are you going to recast? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, they need to make a decision. They need to shit or get off the pot.
Yeah. And I appreciate if they are trying to be fair and wait it out, because it's very rare that a black actor gets to get a platform like that and a multi film deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's like Sam Jackson, the only black actor that got something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I appreciate it. They're trying to really be like, let's see what happens with the trial. Like, he's not guilty until proven. He's innocent until proven guilty. Like, let's give him the opportunity.
No. Innocent until, yeah. I'm sorry.
Wait, that's it, right? No. I was like, guilty until proven innocent.
That's typically what it's actually like, though. That's why I was thrown off. I was like, no, we're always guilty.
Yeah, but I will say, like I said, I didn't watch Loki season 2. Like, I was a big fan of the season 1, but I just didn't feel compelled to watch it. I like Secret Invasion. Like, I dragged myself to finally watch it. I liked the first 2 episodes, and then it immediately shit the bed. We talked about Ant-Man 3. Guardians 3 was solid, but that's like, that literally felt like we may never see those characters again.
Yeah.
Right. And then what else came out this year? It was Guardians 3, Ant-Man 3, and then we had the Marvels. I feel like I'm missing something else, though. Not the Halloween one with the monster shit. Werewolf by Night or whatever. That was last year.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything else that we had.
Yeah, I guess not, but I'm starting not to care. It's the way I felt about Star Wars. It's the way I felt about Star Wars now. I still haven't watched Mandalorian season 3. I haven't watched Andor. Like, I
haven't watched any of it.
And I'm just like, what happened? I love this shit. Especially Star Wars. I love this shit. Disney really fucked up. Because they needed content for Disney Plus, even though Disney Plus could have literally just ran on their children content and the old school Disney shit.
Yep.
Like, you're good, guys. Like, you don't need more. And now these streamers are charging us more, and they're giving us less or more of the same. And you're like, well, that don't make no sense. So I don't know. This is just a weird time for entertainment. I'm hopeful that they'll be able to course correct, but at the same time, the one thing that they got that they successfully were able to accomplish with Endgame, which are never going to be able to replicate now, was the continuity.
Yeah,
like I talked about it all the time. Like, I'm so impressed. The only 2 casting changes they had to do the whole MCU was Terrence Howard and Edward Norton, and that was early enough in the MCU where you kind of didn't like remember it, right?
Yeah, true.
Now you get obviously Chadwick passed.
Yeah, and that's a big one.
That's a big one. That's a huge one.
Everything was going to be weighed off of him, from what I heard.
It was going to be Chadwick, Chadwick, Brie Larson, and I believe Tom Holland. They were like the 3 that I was going to center around. Yeah, going forward. So you got Chadwick gone. Brie Larson's been very vocal about how she doesn't want to come back. Really. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they make that announcement soon. Who else is being is done or being recasted or in
You know
danger
what?
of?
I'm surprised that during that because of
The guy
Brie
played
Larson.
Namor, he's a problem now because of the
Oh
accusation
yeah,
she's
yeah, yeah.
had.
Yep.
So you got that. There's Jonathan Majors, obviously. Yeah, Lluvia in the chat, she's asking what? Yeah, they swept it under the rug real quick. I think Disney's got some
Yeah.
sniper lawyers, but it was in Hollywood Reporter a few months ago. Like he got accused of sexual assaulting somebody, and that got shut down real quick.
Yep.
Haven't
Him
heard
and
anything
Diddy, baby.
since.
Yeah.
Yeah, Diddy. That's what's fucked up is like he's been doing a lot of things that made it seem like either he was sick or some bad shit was about to come out.
Yeah.
So
They
unfortunately, it was
told
the
him
latter.
once, they told him twice.
Justin, break down a rating system, baby. Like, god damn.
So, guys, you know what we do? We rate movies bags of popcorn, small, medium, large, and the XL for the exceptional. If a film doesn't deserve any popcorn, we throw it into the dog shit pile. We pile piles and piles of dog shit on top of it.
Gang,
So,
gang.
Brandon, don't think I didn't hear it. Stop calling me baby. But so we sat down and we watched The Marvels, 2023 film starring Brie Larson, Teyonah Parris, and Iman Vellani. What say you, sir?
Yeah, this gets us small. This is by far not the worst MCU movie, like a lot of fucking people are saying. This is actually pretty fun and charming. Just tonally, it was all over the place. The villain didn't quite make sense. It was also miscast. But I thought it was a quick film. It was less than 2 hours, which thank God the MCU is finally doing that. And I like the three leads, even though, like I said, most scenes I felt like Brie Larson didn't want to be there. But the three of them did have good chemistry. But again, the Khan family, like they literally carried this movie on their shoulders. I felt there were parts where they were constantly making me laugh and smile. And their dynamic just is amazing. That fight scene, the Khan family when they were all switching through, that was actually really cool. And I wish there was more of that in the movie. But nonetheless, I got to be honest, like even with the tags at the end, I just kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about Kamala recruiting what's her name, Haley from Hawkeye to join her quote unquote team. So I guess they're going for Young Avengers. But again, that was met with a shrug too. I mean, she was charming and doing her little Tony Stark recruitment thing. That was funny.
Yeah.
Or that's how Nick Fury recruited Tony
Nick
Stark.
Fury.
But I was still kind of like, but Justin, what about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a small as well. I think I feel like they probably could have done a little bit more to swing for the fences with this one. I felt like it was kind of they tried to play it safe, but even in playing it safe, it just felt like they just didn't do enough to really capture the attention of the audience. And there's just one thing that I just find that I've seen in a lot of films I wish would change. Any woman, any movie that's kind of led by women, the villain is a woman as well. It's just like, why is it they have to do that? Or it's like, and like when we had Hela as the main villain in Thor, it was just like she was still a fucking monster. Like that lady was a monster. It's just like, so like you don't like, and if you have a film with three women, like you can have a guy to be the villain and he's the bad guy because whatever. I just felt like there was this, and I don't want to go. It's like it's not a whole thing. Like it's woke. It's just like it's something that we always see in cinema. You know what I'm saying? Outside of a male villain being like monumentous piece of shit in the time, crimes against women, we typically don't necessarily see women going after a man, that's just like an overarching, like, just evil guy, outside of, like the weird rapey shit.
That's why I said King should have been the villain.
Yeah.
Show us that King is actually a formidable villain and he lives because even Captain Marvel can't take him out.
Yeah. He'd have to kill one of them. He'd have to kill one. That's the thing. They don't want to bring that big guy, the big guns in, because he has to take somebody out. And the fact that he didn't take fucking Ant-Man or nobody out in that movie also shows it's just like you guys aren't fully committed yet. Because that's how you're gonna get. That's somebody has to go. Somebody has to go. They're not committing to it. But my whole thing is like, I just think for cinema as well is just like you like you have these characters who are like who are so strong and yada yada yada, and then they're just like, yeah, we're gonna find another strong woman in the galaxy. It's just like it can literally be anybody, but like it does kind of feel like, well, this whole movie is gonna be centered mostly just around women and just badass women. It's like I get that, but like it after too long of just seeing the same thing is like they have to start giving us something different.
Mm.
And I don't mean to come off as just like the woke agenda, but it's just like
Yeah, you kind of are, but
no, but I don't mean but I'm not talking about Marvel. I'm talking about as a whole. It's just like it seems like yes, it as Lluvia said, like it seems really forced. It seems really forced in the film, and like I just wish that like they just I don't know, like I wanted more out of this film.
mm.
I just wanted more out of this film, and I don't. And it's just this story just didn't have.
Didn't have any real stakes.
Yeah, they didn't have any real stakes. Yeah,
That's the problem with the past few movies. They haven't really had stakes. Like even Guardians 3, the biggest stake was, is Rocket going to die? Who's going to die of this crew?
yeah, and
That's
nobody
all it
died.
was. And nobody died. Yeah. Because they're so afraid of killing people now because I think they're tired. They don't want to be backed into a corner like they are technically with Robert Downey Jr. and Scarlett Johansson now,
Yeah.
where they're like, we can't bring them back. Otherwise, it dilute. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's too risky because then it dilutes the stakes for everybody else. Because if you can bring those two back, then you can bring anybody back. So then it's just the Fast and Furious problem. It's like there's no stakes to this shit anymore because all y'all gonna live. Or you could just easily. They brought back Gal Gadot. At this point,
that's wild. That's wild.
They don't give a fuck.
You know what? So like I meant to say this earlier. Like if Brie Larson is really like over this stuff, maybe she should have went on the other side and give herself and they could have gave her a break.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They gave her a break, and you also take the big gun out of the equation. She's in a whole other fucking galaxy,
That's
universe right now.
Yeah.
And then, you know, now you're taking out all the real formidable people, and now you're giving Kang even more of a chance to come out and just start whooping up on people. And then, you know, or unless they're gonna have Kang come in and he's gonna kill a fucking Captain Marvel.
Oh, that'd be a good open. That's a good way to like start it off.
Like that's
it's similar to when Thanos beat the Hulk at the beginning of Infinity War, where you're like, oh, like shit.
This nigga's not playing.
Yeah.
So like if unless that's what you're going for, is like they have they definitely should have killed Ant-Man in Ant-Man 3. Especially the way it was set up. But it's like they need to have balls. They need to have balls in these films, and especially with a film like this, which is like, yeah, like not a lot is going on, and everybody's already shitting on it before it even comes out. You have to do something to be like, oh no, motherfuckers, we're fucking serious. Like we're serious. And then like, all right, you have a bunch of rated R movies coming out. This is exactly why the MCU is going to start going dark, because shit is going to start getting real. And like motherfuckers going to have to start taking off the shackles in order to be able to compete. And that's outside of like the business, but like in these actual fucking you know, in the MCU as a whole, the characters are going to have to really start, you know, flexing their muscles on motherfuckers because the stakes have been risen.
Yeah. Stakes are high, baby. All right. But before we get to our plugs, we did get a few Patriot thoughts about the Marvels. And remember, folks, if you sign up at patreon.com/media popcorn, you're guaranteed to have your thoughts and reviews of that film that we're going to talk about shared on that episode. So first up is Darren Patterson, who wrote, Iman, Brie, and Teyonah deserve to be in a much better movie than this. The editing and the pacing of the movie was so weird, and it seemed like the whole film was rushing to get to the end. Also, Hildeson's baby mama was a pretty weak villain that never felt like a threat and felt underwritten. It wasn't a terrible film. It has some fun moments, and Iman Vellani is all types of fantastic. But it definitely felt like a movie that had a ton of studio interference and was written by a committee that was more concerned about setting up the next thing rather than making a good movie. Sean the Terrible wrote, wasn't perfect, but I enjoyed it. That cameo at the end made me yell out loud. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but And then our very own Aaron Hicks, who's in the chat with us right now, wrote, I enjoyed it. The cameo in the mid credits, though, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. So those are a few thoughts about the Marvels. And folks, call in. Let us know what you thought about the Marvels at 347-508-0978. Once again, that number is 347-508-0978. Mm-hmm. And as always, folks, you can follow me at Frodo_Blackens, all the social media platforms. You can follow the show at Medium P Podcast on those same platforms, as well as youtube.com/Medium P Podcast. And we're now on TikTok, so feel free to follow that as well. And then, Justin, if people want to follow you as well as support the show financially, what can they do, my brother?
Take yourself over to patreon.com/medium popcorn. We have $2, $5, $10, and $15 packages on Patreon. So if you love this show and you love all the extras and you want to get lovey-dovey and get all that stuff in your ears, then you need to go to patreon.com/medium popcorn. And because that's where it's all housed. But you can also follow me at JBrownDid on all the socials. I am there. I'm here for you. Guys,
what? I'm
there. I'm here for you. Yes, I'm your therapist.
All right. Folks, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. Again, patreon.com/medium popcorn. Justin and I need some money. It's the holiday, niggas. Come on, help us out. It supports the show. We give you lots of content. You get to be part of the conversation. You get to join us live. All that good stuff. Come on, man. Patreon.com/medium popcorn. We can't do this forever if y'all don't help us.
Macho needs to eat. In the arms of an angel.
I wish we could zoom in on Macho right now. He does not look amused. And he just threw him down the floor. All right, y'all. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.